This is the Bottom Line Podcast presented by Anchor.fm, your home for sports and entertainment talk. I'm Jimmy Finizzi alongside Neil Villapiano. We hope you're doing well. As always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to take a listen. We really do appreciate it. Before we get started, you know the drill. Questions, opinions, Twitter and Instagram at BottomLineWMCX. Also on Twitter at The MVP Show, hashtag Bottom Line. Leave a voice message on the Anchor app or at Anchor.fm. And if you like what you see on YouTube, please be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. It helps out tremendously. And please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss a single episode. And please subscribe on all audio listening platforms. Just include Jimmy when searching for the Bottom Line Podcast. Neil, it's finally here. The week is here. Super Bowl week is upon us. The big game is a few days away. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Looking forward to this whole week of already getting, some really nutty stories and it's crazy because we're in the early stages of the week, and this is a Super Bowl like no other because obviously with COVID-19 still a factor, and we already had two players on the Chiefs be put on the COVID list yesterday, which is obviously a scary thing. And it's definitely going to be a unique Super Bowl without a doubt. 25,000 fans to be exact will be at Raymond James Stadium for the Super Bowl this year. Most of us will be watching at home. I mean, I'd be watching at home anyway because I can't afford to go to the Super Bowl yet.
If only I could.
No, I'm doing well. I'm doing better than courtside Karen last night at the Lakers game. I think I'm doing a lot better than she is. Because whatever was going on last night was certainly an entertaining night for her, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get into all of that, but I'll just say this: she's nuts. I'll just say that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But no, I can definitely say the same. I'm definitely hanging in there. Heck, we just had a blizzard come in the Jersey Shore recently, so we're still dealing with like 2 feet of snow where we are right now. But you know what? Hey, if you're in the metropolitan area and you have snow, just stay inside. Don't go anywhere. Don't drive. The roads are terrible.
Who's going to shovel the snow then?
Well, I mean, unless you have to do that, of course, like I did this morning. But I digress there.
I have a longer driveway than you do, so I have to be out there longer. You probably only took you like an hour to get done.
more like 45 minutes, but I digress. But anyway, in the spirit of Super Bowl week, we got a jam-packed week for you today as we have 2 Super Bowl-themed top 5 lists. And today's episode is going to be the top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows. And then this upcoming Friday, we will do a full preview of the big game, and we will give you our predictions as to who will win. But that's for Friday. Today, like I said, top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows. Now, again, I have to reiterate, as with every single top 5 list we do, this is strictly our own opinion, not facts. So please do not get into a hissy fit. If you agree or disagree, that's totally fine. That's the beauty of sports talk. And if you want to leave your own list, let us know on Twitter and Instagram, or leave a comment down below this video if you are watching on YouTube. So here's the thing with this list. It was easy for me up until the top 2, where I kept flipping back and forth between 2 certain people. But I'll get to that in a little bit once I get there. But Neil, as always, if you do not mind, my man, may I kick things off here?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. So let's get started. Let's kick off Super Week the right way with the top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows, according to yours truly. Let's start with number 5 on my list. Let's go to Super Bowl 51, where we had Lady Gaga. Now, the reason I have her at number 5 is because, look, for anybody who knows me, I hate pop music. I absolutely cannot stand it. I am more of a rock type of person. However, with that being said, I was actually really, really impressed with Lady Gaga's Super Bowl halftime show performance. I mean, the way that she began with reciting God Bless America, going right into the Pledge of Allegiance, and then going into her usual theatrics, and then towards the end, where, heck, she caught a football and jumped off the stage. I mean,
that was pretty awesome.
To me, that is a great ending to a halftime show, in my opinion. I was very, very impressed. And look, Lady Gaga's a bit of a polarizing figure. I understand all that, but you know what? You can't deny the fact that she is probably one of the most talented artists out there today. I can definitely say that. And she's got a hell of a singing voice, man. I just got to put that out there right now. She's got a hell of a voice. So Lady Gaga, Super Bowl 51 is number 5 on my list.
I think she sang the national anthem at Super Bowl 50, I want to say.
She did, yes.
And I remember saying, she without a doubt, that was the best like national anthem performance I have heard in person. Obviously, we know Whitney Houston is number 1 on pretty much everybody's list, but I wasn't obviously alive to see that. But she has, for everything that she does, and she does a lot of stuff that can be considered off the wall, especially earlier in her career. I feel like as she's gotten older, she has really focused a lot more on just being a tremendous singer and really focusing on that. I remember hearing her sing at the inauguration. What was it, last week or 2 weeks ago? Whatever it was.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Feels like it was only last week, but
yeah, right.
2 weeks ago, and she did a great job. There's no question about it. I want to say off the, pretty much right off the bat that like I don't usually watch the halftime show, so like a lot of these that I came up with, like I had to like look up to remember who did it, because look, I'm more of a sports person than I am really a music/entertainment person. So that kind of stuff doesn't usually entertain me that much, unless I'm forced to watch it. Then I'll try to find some form of entertainment from it. But no, she's a great performer. She knows how to light up a stage, and what better stage to light up than arguably one of the biggest ones for a performer to have, and that's the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yep, 100%. So look, again, I'm not the biggest pop music guy, but I was very, very impressed with Lady Gaga. She's number 5 on my list of the top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows. Number 4, let's go back to Super Bowl 40, where we had the Rolling Stones. Now, here's the interesting thing about the Rolling Stones. This was at Ford Field in 2006, right? But here's the interesting thing. They only played 3 songs. 3. And they were the following songs. Start Me Up, which is my all-time favorite by them. Rough Justice, and I Can't Get No Satisfaction, which is probably my second all-time favorite song by them. But I gotta tell you, those 3 songs are all they needed, because boy, oh boy, did they deliver some show. I mean, Mick Jagger, what more can you say about that, man? He just, for a guy his age, he still looks like he can still keep going for many, many years. He knows how to entertain a crowd. And for him and his band to go out there and light up the Super Bowl stage like they did, and with Mick Jagger's usual energetic antics, that really says a lot for me, at least. So Super Bowl 40, the Rolling Stones, is number 4 on my list.
No, the thing about it is that I remember when the Who performed at the Super Bowl. I think that was only like 2 years. I think the Who came on in the Super Bowl halftime show, I think like only 2 years later. I believe Super Bowl 42. I believe they were the halftime show, I think, off the top of my head. But I remember my dad was like, "Oh, they're rolling them out on wheelchairs because they're so old." Look, the Rolling Stones were not spring chickens.
No.
Even back in 2006, there were no spring chickens. But the thing about Mick Jagger is that for him to continue to bring that energy, no matter what his age is, I kind of wonder what exactly he takes before every performance. And I would really like to know what he took before Super Bowl 40. And they only performed 3 songs, but still, they were 3 of the most iconic songs that they've ever performed.
Right.
And that's what you get when you get the halftime show. When you get a band as popular as the Rolling Stones, they're going to come out and they're going to say, they might be told by the head of whoever's in charge of this, say, all right, you have 3 songs, and then you got to make the choice. Okay, what 3 songs do people know the most? And that's what they do. And you notice that with every Super Bowl halftime show, they're usually going to come out and perform the songs that everybody knows the most.
Right.
And that's how they're going to do it. So, yeah, having the Rolling Stones on there is certainly a good spot to have because there's such a famous group, and Mick Jagger, obviously, as we know, is a pretty well-known individual.
That might be an understatement, but I digress. But the Rolling Stones are number 4 on my list. That was Super Bowl 40, top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows, according to yours truly. Number 3. Now, this is where it gets a bit interesting because I had to throw this band in there, and if I didn't, I was going to look like the worst person in the world. Let's go back to Super Bowl 37, U2. Now, in case you're not aware, this was obviously the year after 9/11. So a lot of emotions were running high. And look, the thing with U2, look, I'm not the biggest fan of U2. Yeah, I recognize they're super talented. They really know how to put on a live show, especially Bono being obviously one of the most famous people in the band, obviously. But look, just given the events that took place after 9/11, this was in 2002, and they were just coming off a US tour of their most recent album that came out in 2000 at the time. And just to see them performing and just seeing the names of the people that unfortunately lost their life in 9/11, that really, that hits you in the feels right there, man, because that really touched me. So a lot of emotions ran high during that halftime show, and U2 certainly did not disappoint. They are number 3 on my list. Again, that was Super Bowl 37. So they are number 3 on my list. Quick recap here. Top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows. Number 5, Lady Gaga in Super Bowl 51. Number 4, the Rolling Stones in Super Bowl 40. Number 3, U2 in Super Bowl 37. Now, this is where it got tricky for me because, like I said before, I kept changing the order of number 2 and number 1. This was not easy, but this is officially the finalized list, and hopefully I don't come off as being disrespectful, but if you feel that way, oh well, then that's probably your issue. But no, all jokes aside,
Wow.
let's get into the top 2 here. So number 2, probably one of the most iconic shows I've ever seen, Super Bowl 41, Prince. Do I even need to say any more? I mean, just go look it up. I promise you, if you haven't seen it, it will be worth your time. Look, the late great Prince, God rest his soul, probably one of the most influential musicians of all time. I mean, my goodness gracious, did he put on a hell of a show. I mean, to be led out by a marching band at the beginning and to let him do his thing, the stage being his iconic logo. I mean, his famous band, The Revolution, right behind him, doing what they're doing. I mean, what more do I gotta say? I mean, his epic guitar solo in Purple Rain at the end. I mean, my God. I mean, it's one of the most iconic Super Bowl halftime shows I've ever seen, and probably should be in the top 2 on everybody's list if they were able to make one. But Prince, nothing more needs to be said. Go watch it if you haven't. He is number 2 on my list.
I think one thing you forgot to mention that made that whole situation even more like incredible to watch, whether
it was raining.
It was right, exactly. It was raining. And,
that's another. That was the other thing I forgot to mention. It was pouring.
Right. It was coming down like cats and dogs, as they would say, and they were worried about are they still going to be able to do this? Like how are they going to do it? And Prince, being the creative person that he is, he just took with it and ran with it. I mean, he knew exactly what he needed to do to make that whole show as spectacular as it was. And Purple Rain, as we all know, his most iconic song. I don't think there's any other song up for debate. I mean, right. I'm not the biggest Prince fan, so I'm not gonna sit here and start saying, oh, but this one could be better or anything like that. I would say that, with that song being played, with it raining, with him doing what he was doing, it was like one of those iconic imageries, and it will go down in entertainment history as one of the most iconic images and performances. And it was certainly a sight to behold, without a doubt.
It certainly was a spectacle to behold. Again, if you haven't seen it, please, I urge you, go look it up. I promise it will be worth your time. Prince, Super Bowl 41 is number 2 on my list of the top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows. Quick recap here. Number 5, Lady Gaga, Super Bowl 51. Number 4, The Rolling Stones, Super Bowl 40. Number 3, U2, Super Bowl 37. Number 2, Prince, Super Bowl 41. Now, before we get to number 1, I do have one honorable mention. And we were actually talking about this band a little bit earlier in the show, and that would happen to be Super Bowl 44, The Who.
Ooh.
Now,
Ooh.
I have The Who here. Look,
am I the biggest Who fan of being rolled out on wheelchairs, right? Like the Who
yes.
being rolled out.
Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, come on. Like, if you think about it, like, if you go back and look, like, you can see how they clearly were over the hill from an age perspective.
But I mean, my God, they still got it, man. I mean, my goodness.
Of course.
I mean, look. Am I the biggest fan of the Who? No. So I'm not gonna sit here like I know every single song. I know obviously a couple of their most iconic songs, like Baba O'Reilly, Who Are You? Like I can go on and on.
Oh, of course. Like Who Are You is got to be like number 1 on most people's list. Because it's,
100%.
That's the Who. Yeah.
100%. But look. From what I saw from them that year, I know a couple of people I've talked to actually were kind of disappointed with it. I'm like, why? I get it. They're no spring chickens, but I mean, look, every band tends to age with time. I mean, some age for worse, but some age better with time. And for me, in my opinion, the Who just got better. Other than Queen, in my opinion, Queen. I know they have Adam Lambert as the vocalist now. And by the way. Fantastic, by the way. I saw them twice in concert. Nice. Best show I've ever seen, period. And nice. I would urge you to go look it up if you haven't. They are fantastic with Adam Lambert. He's no Freddie Mercury, and he's acknowledged it. And nobody will ever be Freddie Mercury, but he's a damn close second in my opinion. But just go look him up. Go look him up. But anyway, but look, other than Queen, the Who, to me, in my opinion, have gotten better as time went on. And I did see a most recent video of them in concert. I believe it was from 2019, I believe. I forget exactly where they were performing, but I was like, whew, yeah, they could probably still keep going for a few more years. And look, they lit it up at the Super Bowl, in my opinion. I know some people were disappointed, but you know what? In my opinion, they still rocked the house. They are an honorable mention, at least for me. So with that being said, one final recap here. Top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows, according to yours truly. Number 5, Lady Gaga at Super Bowl 51. Number 4, The Rolling Stones in Super Bowl 40. Number 3, U2 in Super Bowl 37. Number 2, Prince in Super Bowl 41, with an honorable mention being The Who. And number 1, look, again, it was between this guy and Prince. I kept changing it, but to me...
I think I have an idea as to what you're gonna say. I think. I'm not gonna say. I'm obviously not gonna say anything. I want you to.
I was just gonna say, but look, no disrespect to Prince. God rest his soul. His show was iconic, no question about it. But to me, this guy just edged him out just by this much, much, and that to me, go back to Super Bowl 27. With the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson. Do I even need to say any more?
That was on the verge of when he was going nuts.
Well, I mean, yes, but at the same time, he's the king of pop. I mean, what more do you need to say? I mean, that man. My goodness. I mean, I have nothing to add. He's Michael Jackson. Just go watch it, for crying out loud. There's a reason why. I have him as number 1.
Yeah.
It's for a damn good reason. Just go look it up. I promise you, it's worth your time. Just like Prince.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. It's Michael Jackson.
Exactly my point. Exactly.
It is. He's. We talk about goats in sports, right? Well, he's the goat of pop. They call him the king of pop for a reason. He had so many iconic songs, so many iconic moments. And I think if Michael Jackson was alive today, I think he probably would put his Super Bowl halftime show at Super Bowl 27 up there as one of his most enjoyable performances he ever did. And that was, it was great. It was absolutely a wonderful, a wonderful performance. Obviously, I didn't see it live for many reasons. But, not Prince, Michael Jackson had a lot of, I guess we can call it issues, to say the least.
Right.
But for him to still, have at least a moment like that, look, we've only had 54, now going on 55 Super Bowls. Not many people get the opportunity to perform and be the only person to perform at the Super Bowl. Sometimes we get like 2 or 3 people, special guests, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's just one person. And Michael Jackson, he was big enough to take up 3 stages if he wanted to. And that's how good he was. And, that's just who he was, basically.
Nothing more needs to be said. Michael Jackson, to me, is number 1 on my list of the top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows. So with that being said, Neil, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you as always, Jimmy. So this is my top 5 list. I actually have a handful of more honorable mentions just because,
okay,
there were some ones that really stood out to me. But we'll start with number 5, and you got to go back to Super Bowl 31, the Blues Brothers. Now, obviously, their lead guy, whose name escapes me at the moment.
Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, I believe, was not there because he had passed away. But they still had the majority of the Blues Brothers there, and they performed very well. And obviously, performing Soul Man, who doesn't know that song? And for them to still go out there, even without their main guy, Dan out there, it's still an incredible thing. And the Blues Brothers is an iconic group. And there just isn't much more to say other than that.
Hold on a minute. I don't mean to cut you off. Dan Aykroyd is still alive.
It was one. I don't think it was Dan Aykroyd. I keep forgetting. They said one of them wasn't alive anymore at that time.
Stand by. I'll look that up for you.
I don't remember. Was it? Jeez, shows you how much I know.
It's okay.
But I think
John Belushi. I think you're thinking.
John Belushi. Thank you. John Belushi wasn't alive at the time because he was there. He wasn't there.
Right.
But they still performed very, very well. It was actually at one time it was one of the top 5 most viewed Super Bowl halftime shows of history. I'm sure it's not in the top 5 now because of a bunch of other guys coming after them. But still, the Blues Brothers, to me, deserve to be on my top 5 list because of how iconic they are. And for them to get the opportunity to even perform in a Super Bowl was certainly awesome.
No, absolutely. I mean, I got to catch up on Blues Brothers, man. I mean, I've obviously only seen the first movie because Blues Brothers 2000. I mean, no offense, that one's I'm not gonna say it's the worst movie I've ever seen, but it's
okay.
It's in my opinion. It's But the first one's obviously better. They are certainly iconic. R.I.P. to the late great John Belushi, obviously. But look, I did happen to see that halftime show, and you know what? I definitely I probably should have put that on my honorable mentions. I feel terrible, but you know what? It's still an iconic show. I don't think anybody who's a diehard Blues Brothers fan out there can definitely say so otherwise.
Yeah, I have a couple friends that are big Blues Brothers fans, and I'm sure that they would wholeheartedly agree. Now I'll go to number 4, and it's somebody that you had already mentioned, and I'll mention again. We got to bring out the wheelchairs and talk about the Who from Super Bowl 44.
Yes.
Now again, was it their greatest performance ever? No. Was it, did everybody love it? No. But you have to understand what we had talked about. They were getting up there in age. Let's just call it like it is.
Right.
And they weren't going to be the same people. But for them to still be able to go out there and perform a lot of their well-known classic songs was still a great performance nonetheless. And if you're just a casual observer, a casual fan like myself of music and entertainment, you just learn to appreciate the fact that you get to see that, with your own eyes, seeing them perform. And The Who is one of the most iconic groups of all time. I don't think there's any question about it. And, it's great. And so to me, I think that they deserve to be on my top 5 list. And I put them at number 4, just because I like The Who. And I thought that even considering their situation, they still were able to go out there and do a great job of performing.
Yep, I have nothing to add. I already gave my spiel on the Who. I mean, look, it wasn't the greatest ever, but you know what? I still found it to be very, very entertaining, and I still believe they can keep going for at least a few more years. So I have nothing to add. It's a well-deserved spot, and they were in my honorable mention, so they were somewhere on the list. And I would feel terrible for leaving them off for me personally, but they are on there on my list.
Without question. So now we'll go to number 3, and again, it's another group that you had mentioned already on your list, and I have the Rolling Stones Super Bowl 40. Like you said, with even at their age, with the biggest thing that I constantly remember is what I said before. The fact that even at that age, Mick Jagger still had the energy that he had to go out there, and for them to perform only 3 songs, but still rock the house was awesome. Yep. And that was a big year in general, because now we were reaching Super Bowl 40. It was like, wow, we're into the 40th Super Bowl, and it was in Detroit. And, we know people in Detroit love their music. And we know that the 2 most iconic genres of music in Detroit are rock and rap. Those are the 2. So obviously they had to bring out one of them. I don't know if Kid Rock would have done it if they asked him. He probably would have done it since he is from Detroit.
I know Kid Rock performed at a Thanksgiving halftime show at Ford Field.
Yeah, I still think that if they go back to Detroit, and Kid Rock is still performing, I would seriously consider having him perform, because he's from Detroit.
Right.
So, and he was a Lions season ticket holder, fun fact.
Yes.
They didn't know that. So that would be kind of a cool experience, especially if the Lions actually made the Super Bowl at some point before we all kick rocks. But anyway, so yeah, the Rolling Stones at number 3 on my list. So just a quick recap: Blues Brothers Super Bowl 31 is number 5. The Who Super Bowl 44 is number 4. And number 3, like we just mentioned, the Rolling Stones and Super Bowl 40. Number 2 is exactly the same one that you had at number 2, and that was Prince, Super Bowl 41. I mean, that's just, what can you say more than what we were talking about before? I mean, it was raining. It was very, very humid from what I remember.
Yeah.
And it was just, they weren't sure because of the weather that they were going to be able to do this with all the electricity and the technology that they had to use. They were kind of anxious to actually still have the halftime show the way that they did. But Prince, being the creative mind that he was, he just took it in stride and just made the best of the situation. And when he performed Purple Rain with all the purple lighting around him and the rain coming down and having the camera angle right up where it goes, right up to where he's standing there, it's just an iconic image, and he really did a great job. And I would go on record by saying that was probably his greatest performance he's ever done in his life. 100%. That's my opinion. You have to ask him, obviously you can't right now, but I'm sure if he was alive, I'm sure he would say that was one of his top performances of all time. Because again, when you get the opportunity to be the performer at the Super Bowl halftime show, it's a big deal, because millions upon millions of people, even if they're not there, they're there for at least a halftime show, they're watching.
Right.
And it's incredible. And so, Prince did a hell of a job, and he deserves to be in the top 3 without a doubt. And that's why I put him at number 2. So
100%. I mean, there's nothing else to add. I mean, it's Prince. What more can I say, man? I mean, it's definitely I 100% agree with you. It's definitely one of his greatest performances of all time, without question.
Without a doubt. So now we'll go to my honorable mentions. So the first one that we have is one that you mentioned before, U2. And to correct you a little bit, it was Super Bowl 36, not 37.
36. Okay, I apologize.
So that was the one between the Patriots and the Rams, the beginning of the Patriots dynasty. Tom Brady's first of what ends up being 10 Super Bowls. I mean, like you said, just coming off of 9/11 and the tragedies that happened with that, and then having in the background the list of all the people that passed away. I mean, that was absolutely incredible, and I was so happy that they did that, because it was such an important time in our country, from dealing with the tragedy of 9/11, and for them to just take away a little bit more of the pain, even if showing the people that passed away was, I'm sure, was tough for a lot of the families. It was still a great thing that they did. So I'm really happy that they did that, because it's really important that we honor those that unfortunately get taken away from us in really horrible circumstances when you think about it. And for the U to do that, I call him the U. I know everybody says U too. I call him the U. I don't know why. I'm thinking football probably, but
All right.
U2. I remember seeing I went to a science museum and they had a showing of one of their concerts. I don't know why exactly. I don't know why it was one of these things, but they were performing and it was great. And I don't listen to U2 that much, and I'm not the biggest U2 fan myself.
Right.
But still, for them to do that and to be in that moment and to, really just take away some of the pain was a great job by them, 100%.
Oh,
so that's one of them. The next one I have is from Super Bowl 43, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. And I think, and my bias because Bruce is from New Jersey, yeah, of course, but still. And was that one of Bruce Springsteen's most iconic and great performances? No, but it was still, it's Bruce Springsteen, with his band performing some of their most iconic songs, and it was great. So that's pretty much why I put it on there. And my last honorable mention is actually just last year, Super Bowl 54 in Miami, Jennifer Lopez and Shakira.
Ooh,
now, the reason I put this on here is for several reasons. Number one, it was the first time that we had pretty much, it was the first time we had an all Latino performance. You had Jennifer Lopez, you had Shakira, and for them to come out and, again, not saying it isn't big now, but that's really when we started to talk about, more and more about women's equality and being accepted as an equal to men and, giving them the respect and honor that they deserve. This was a moment to really do that. And it was also a moment to really recognize the Latino community. Being in Miami, having these performers on there and doing the songs that they did. And, both of them knew each other's songs very well. So for them to both sing these songs together was really a tremendous thing in general. I thought the performance was great. The iconic moment was when Shakira did, I think her father was I don't know what nationality he is, but I remember Shakira looked in the camera and did that whole verbal thing, if you remember.
Oh yeah, the one where everybody was like, "What is she doing?" But then you really had to understand, that was
none of us
that
knew
was
it
part
at
of
the
a
time.
family thing that her father was, right?
Exactly. Nobody knew at the time what that was. So obviously it became a meme because that's just how things go in our society and in social media, which is understandable. But once you got to figure out why it happened, it made a lot more sense she did it. But they performed some great songs, and there were so many, you were getting so much nostalgia from it just because of the iconic songs that, Jennifer Lopez and Shakira performed. It was great. I thought it was just a great halftime show. I gave it a 9 out of 10, honestly, because I thought it was phenomenal.
Okay.
And, because of the things I said, talking about, respecting women as a whole, respecting the Latino community as a whole. There were so many big reasons for them to have it. And I'm glad that they did it in Miami because that was really important. And they both kicked ass.
No, 100%. I'm not the biggest fan of that type of music, but I was actually really, really impressed by those two. And hey, they do not look like their age. They still look as young as ever. And that to me really is really, really impressive. So I gotta hand it to J-Lo and Shakira on that one. I'm sure A-Rod was happy too. I'll just say that much.
Oh, A-Rod's gonna be happy no matter what. But that was my honorable mention. So now we'll go to number one. And I'll tell you guys right now, it'll probably come as a shock to a lot of you because you'll probably wonder why. But I'll tell you why in just a second. So my number one, you go back to Super Bowl 49, Katy Perry and Missy Elliott.
Oh my God.
Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Missy Elliott is an iconic singer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not talking about Katy Perry. Katy Perry, she was, it is what it is. Katy Perry, she has her own things. The whole Roar thing was kind of weird. Yeah, that was weird. But that part of it, when Missy Elliott came on stage, do you realize how hard it is to actually be able to perform just as good with Missy Elliott? I mean, to stand next to her and do as well as she did. Let me tell you something also. Let me tell you this. Yesterday, February 1st, 2021, made it 6 years since that performance. Here's the thing. This is the most viewed halftime show drawing with over 120 million viewers.
Wow.
There is no other halftime show in the history of halftime shows that has had more viewership than the Katy Perry, Missy Elliott halftime show.
Wow.
And so for me, that's why I put it at number one. Is that a justifiable reason to put it at number one? You know, some may say yes, some may say no. But I look at it and I say to myself, you know what? Again, it was two women that were performing. And you're talking about two eras, by the way. You have Katy Perry, who's more of like this era, so to speak, of pop music. Then you have Missy Elliott. She's a stone cold killer, ladies and gentlemen. She got it going on.
That is true.
She performed her ass off. And for Katy Perry to even be somewhat doable performing next to her, and for that to be as viewed as it was, and for that to be the most viewed Super Bowl halftime show of all time, is an incredible thing. And actually, Missy Elliott retweeted and shared her performance. And she tweeted it out last night. She said, wow, a night I will never forget, and I'm so humbly grateful to be a part of such a historical moment, most watched halftime. Most watched halftime. Do you understand, with all the other big names that we've talked about today, that this Super Bowl halftime show, granted, not one of the most iconic ones, but for this one to be the most viewed, I had to put it on the list. I had to. So for me, it's number one, even if I didn't like Katy Perry's part of it.
Well, I mean, look, I've got nothing against Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott is just on a whole nother level. I mean, I have no issues with her. She is super talented, but Katy Perry, I mean, listen, I'm not going to argue it. I understand why you put it at number one because of the viewership. I totally get it. It's not the most iconic performance, but I will say that you do have a valid argument because of the viewership and because it's freaking Missy Elliott. I mean, what more do you want? But anyway, though.
I mean, you know, again, but it's Missy Elliott. Like, that's the thing. If it was just Katy Perry, right, I probably wouldn't have put it on the list. But it's Missy Elliott. And for that to be the most viewed, 120, Jimmy, think about that. 120 million people have watched this Super Bowl halftime show is incredible to me. And you think about all the ones we've talked about, Michael Jackson, The Who, Prince, none of them was more watched than Missy Elliott performing. Missy Elliott is the reason this one is as viewed as it is. So that's why I put it on the list.
Fair enough. And on that
I'm going to get shot for it, but I don't care. I think people are going to tune me out.
Fair enough. And on that note, that'll wrap it up for this episode of the Bottom Line Podcast. If you agree or disagree with any of our lists, or if you want to leave your own list, let us know on Twitter and Instagram at BottomLineWMCX, and on Twitter at the NVP Show, #BottomLine. Leave a voice message on the Anchor app or at anchor.fm. And also, if you like what you see on YouTube, please leave a like and a comment down below. It helps out tremendously. And please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss a single episode. And please subscribe on all audio listening platforms. Just include Jimmy when searching for the Bottom Line Podcast. Coming up in the next episode, we will have our top 5 Super Bowl games ever played. This one was a little bit tougher for me. I'm sure it was tough for Neil as well, but we have our finalized list, so it's going to be fun. Stay tuned for that. For Neil Villapiano, I'm Jimmy Finizzi. This is the Bottom Line Podcast. See you in the next episode. Peace out.